Well, howdy. Welcome back to the channel. So today, I've had someone in the comments ask me with the shop tour video if you want to see that one. I'll leave the little marker right there. But anyway, somebody asked if I would do a video on this sign right here. So this, I've done multiple ones. This one's a bigger one than I normally do. And I do, I do crosses. Give me a minute, I'll give you another example. So here's the ones that I usually make. This one's obviously a star. Obviously this was kind of a test to see if I could scale it up, and obviously I did. It did take a little bit more work to scale it up, also just because of the shape of the cross. But the cool thing about these is just print out a template and do whatever shape you want to do. I've done Christmas trees, I've done the North Star, I've done, I can't remember what the other one was, but I've done 3 Christmas ones. Oh, it was a snowflake. Yeah, snowflake. So I'm going to be doing today this one right here. I'm going to be doing the cross, but I'm going to be doing it to where I scale it down because this is a lot easier. It's a lot less steps than this one did. This one right here, you can see that it's just the 2 pieces of wood. I put a little hanger right here, but with this one, I don't know, I may not have to do this, like if I was to do a star or something, but as you can see, I had to do actually a plywood backing, just because of the way that it was, the cross, it didn't have anything to grab onto, so it was just, shaky and stuff, so I had to add some sort of backing to it to keep it nice and strong and stable. So I'm going to be doing this size, but across. So, but like I said, you could do whatever shape you wanted to. Here's an example of my templates. So here's kind of my drawer of everything. I got my Dremel and everything and CDs and stuff that I want to listen to, but here's some of the shapes. This is the star that went to it. So you could just print these out. What I did is I just printed out a piece of paper and then I just cut the cardboard with it. That way I got a nice strong template. See if I can, here's the North Star that I did. I don't have the sign with me, I think it's up in the attic. And then here's the snowflake, which one was kind of hard one to do, just because it's more flimsy, but it looked really cool. I don't know if I have that size of a cross, but crosses are pretty easy to where I could just use a ruler to kind of sketch one out. So that's one thing good about the crosses. I think that's what I did here. Obviously it's not perfect, but this was for me, so I didn't really care. So let's get started. Okay, just to start out with the size, we're going to be having 11-inch boards. So these are this is completely made out of fence pickets. I actually did not stain this. The wood came like this. This is actually pressure treated red pine. I thought it looked really cool and rustic. And you got all the saw marks and stuff on it, so it makes it look really rustic. Unfortunately, I don't have any more of these. I didn't pick any up, but I do have cedar. Okay guys, to start out, we're just going to be using a tape measure and a pen. We're going to be marking out 3 11-inch boards. So 2 of these boards are going to be the picture part of it, so where your shape is going to go. And then the last 11-inch board is going to be used for your trim. This is a great project for pretty much anybody to do, other than the table saw, because I know that a lot of people don't have table saw, and that's fine, but it's just so versatile to do. You can use any kind of wood you want to. You can make it any size you want to. You can make it any shape you want to. So just be creative with it. Okay, so I do want to kind of give you all a disclaimer. So not all fence pickets are the exact same size. I just found that out. Obviously I think I knew that, I just didn't pay attention to it. But this is actually, if you add both the boards together, are 11 inches. Both these boards together are actually only 10 and a half. So these are a little bit skinnier than these are. So when you're wanting to square this out, just make sure, you know, you measure what two of them are together. So in this case it'd be 10 and a half, so this board does not need to be 11. It actually only needs to be 10 and a half. Okay, so now I shaved off a ½ inch. You can see that they're now flush, where before this one was a little bit longer than these two. So now we got it square. Okay, so this is going to be our trim board. Obviously we're going to have to rip it down to, it looks about 3/4 of an inch. So yeah, we'll just do 3/4 of an inch, and that will be our trim size. Fence pickets can be rough and can be warped, so sanding is a must. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you. So I already explained that, you know, all fence pickets, you know, width are different. But here you see that I can put this here and it fits perfectly flush. I try to put it here, you can see this gap right here. So what I'm gonna have to do is now I'm gonna have to make them all 10 and a half inches long instead of 11 inches. That way you get a perfect square. So you kind of have to calculate it each time you make one of these, just because, you know, all fence pickets widths are different. Okay, so now you can see, if I line these up, it's all flush. So yeah, you're just gonna have to measure it out depending on the width of your fence pickets. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're actually going to take the tip and make a 45 on it. You want to keep as much, you know, length as you can, so that way, you know, it's exactly 10 and a half inches. So just try to get closest to that corner as you can. So I'll show you what I mean in just a second. Okay, so this is what I wanted to point out, because I've made so many mistakes when it comes to this. You want it to be a trapezoid shape. So you can see the 45 here, and then the 45 going this way. I've done it to where I went this way, and it obviously doesn't work that way. But so you're looking for the trapezoid shape. Okay, so now that we got all these done, we're back at the assembly table, and we're just gonna lay these out. As you can see, they line up quite well. There's a little notch right there I gotta break off. Okay. So there we go, guys. It's gonna take a little bit of, you know, finagling. Obviously not all of them are gonna line up until you get it just right. And if you need to make any further cuts, because maybe one's a little too long, so like this one right here, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but you can see I didn't completely cut it off here, so it's messing it up. Just a little bit like this can mess up the whole square of it. So I'm gonna go 45 that again, and then I'll be back. Okay, so as you can see, there's no more flat spot on this corner here, so now it should fit quite well. There. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. This is what I like to do when I'm doing, you know, trim around like picture frames or whatever. So I like to go ahead and fasten one board to the picture part of it. I just pick out the best piece. Like this one's flush here, and it's flush here. So that way I know that this one's even. So if you have like a 3/4 inch brad nails, I would suggest going with those. The inch is not going to go all the way through, but it's going to be closer. So I'm going to, you know, the good thing about this one, I don't know if all of them do it, This is the only one. This is the only battery-powered brad nailer I have, and a lot of people have asked me about it. It's just the Ryobi 18 gauge Airstrike. But yeah, if you have 3/4 inch brad nails, I would suggest those. I'm just gonna power this down and I kind of do the depth gauge a little bit higher. That way I don't go all the way through. But I'm just gonna go ahead and just make sure this is all lined up. Okay. Alright, so now that I have this one fastened in there, now I kind of have a idea of which boards might be a little too long. So like I can put this one here up against it. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it on the camera. Let me move it over. See how it's a little bit longer than this board, which tells me that it's going to make everything else off. So I'm going to have to cut this down just a little bit. Okay, so now I can put this thing in there, and it is now flush. So now that I know that whatever is going to be going here is not going to be pushed out too much. So I can go ahead and attach this one. Okay guys, while I was getting a little excited to be doing the trim work, I should have not done the trim work first. Obviously you could have pieces cut out, but I should not attach this board yet. I should have went ahead and cut out the shape. It's no problem. It's easier if you do it before you attach the trim. But basically, you know, if I didn't attach this trim, I'd go ahead and have my stencil drawn out on it, whatever, and then that way you can cut it separately. So let's say I was doing the star, I'd be able just to cut from here and just go all the way around instead of having to drill a hole and then, you know, go around it. This way would make a lot of sense, and that's the way I usually do it. For some reason I just got so interested in wanting to do the trim that I totally forgot to do the shape. But that's okay for this video. Y'all kind of get the idea, but just go ahead and draw out your stencil and then cut it out first before you install the trim. So I'm going to go ahead and draw it out, just so that way I can kind of show y'all. So imagine this trim piece isn't there. I did not attach this in this example. These two boards are still separate. If I was going to do the star, obviously I have a stencil for it. I do not have a cross stencil. I have the big one, but of course it's not going to work for this little one. So I'm going to just kind of to sketch it out. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my pen. So you can use like a straight ruler like this, or you can use a square, speed square if you want to. Basically I'm just going to sketch out the basic shape of it. Again, this is just a cross, so it's not like it's not like a bunch of stuff like different angles with like a star and stuff like this. This is just squares and rectangles, so that's pretty easy to do. So guys, I want to just kind of apologize in advance. My sketching skills are pretty much none. I'm much better if I have a template, so sorry if this cross is a little bit off center, but I was just trying to give you all guys kind of a basic idea of this project. Hopefully a lot of you guys are better at sketching than I am, or if you just rather use a template, but just sorry in advance. Okay, so after a lot of having to redo it, I'm not very good at sketching. I prefer templates, but sometimes I do. Obviously this is a rough. I made some mess ups, but I know which lines I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it out and show you guys, you know, what it's gonna look like. So like I said, please just don't do the trim boards until after you've cut out the shape. It just makes it so much easier, makes it a lot cleaner. As you can tell, I'm having to do a lot more of a process of just having to drill a hole and then having to cut it all out. So here I'm just using a scroll saw. You know, a lot of people don't have scroll saws, so a jigsaw will work just fine. I just like the scroll saw because I think I can handle it a lot better and the blade's a lot thinner. But I actually got that from my grandparents, so thanks to them for that. Okay guys, well, that's it. I mean, it's not very hard to make. Obviously, the cross could have been a little bit better, but again, I didn't have a stencil, so I went completely by just being able to measure it. I'm not very good at that, but just for the sake of the video. But I mean, like I said, I mean, you could do these crosses, you know, stars. I did Christmas trees, North Stars. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with it. So, I mean, just be creative. Whatever you want, whatever shape you want to cut out. But it's an easy, fun project. I don't think I've ever posted these on Facebook Marketplace. I know I did the Christmas ones, but that was like late in like already December, so obviously people were already putting up Christmas decorations, so I don't think I've truly tried to sell these yet. But I mean, it's worth a try. So, but thank you guys for watching this video. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button and the like button, and catch you in the next video.